Welcome to another session of the My Solo 401k Financial YouTube webinar series. We go live every Friday on our YouTube channel here. We're just testing the audio, and then we'll get started. One moment, please. All right, so the audio is working. So thank you again so much for joining. If you're on our YouTube channel, please like and subscribe. If you're watching as a recording, but also please like and subscribe. You can post comments on the YouTube channel. If you're here, we'll go through comments or questions after we go through these slides. One thing before we get started is we wanted to highlight some of the resources. So first, let's just introduce the topic. So today's topic is to talk about one element of President Biden's budget proposal that came out yesterday. That was released yesterday, specifically focused on Roth accounts. So before we get started, though, let's go through some of the housekeeping. So the presentation is being provided for educational purposes only. It should not be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice, nor as a solicitation. When making an investment decision, please consult with your tax attorney and financial professional. So resources, we have a community, mysolo401k.net/my community. We host a daily Zoom, same time, same place, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. You can also post questions in our forums there 24/7. So let me chat over a link to our community. It's totally free to join. All are welcome. We also have this YouTube channel. We post videos every day on our YouTube channel. So please like and subscribe to get notifications of those daily videos. Really, it's good questions that come out of those Zoom calls that we have in our community. We also strive to have a session every Friday like we are now, really going over deep dive educational topics where we bring content to share. So again, today's topic is the proposal that came out yesterday from the Biden administration that was part of their budget proposal that would impact Roth accounts. So we're going to talk about the elements of the proposal. I mean, at a high level, there would be a ban on high balance Roth accounts. There'd be a ban on pre-tax to Roth conversions, ban on high balance accounts for high income taxpayers, as well as a couple of other proposals. So this is not something new, right? So we want to put this in context. So these proposals have been in Washington for years. Most recently, they were part of the Build Back Better legislation that ultimately never passed in 2021. And so I think it's helpful to put it in context to understand how we got here today. So back in 2021, there was an article that came out in June 2021 in ProPublica talking about Peter Thiel, who is one of the founders of PayPal, and how he had grown his Roth IRA to over $5 billion, right? So that sparked a lot of concern and response politically, etc. So in September of 2021, there were proposals, again, as part of President Biden's Build Back Better legislation, to ban high balance Roth IRA accounts for high income taxpayers, to ban the Mega Backdoor Roth IRA and Mega Backdoor Roth 401k for all taxpayers. In October of the same year, it was removed from the Build Back Better legislation, but then brought back in November as part of the legislation that was passed by the House. Ultimately, in December, the Senate didn't pass the legislation, right? You may recall some of the drama with Senator Manchin, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So in last year, the Build Back Better legislation was rebranded as the Inflation Reduction Act. It didn't include any of these proposals, right? And that ultimately, that Inflation Reduction Act was enacted, again, without the proposals. So now that we're turned the page to this year, President Biden has introduced his proposed 2024 fiscal year budget. right? So this is just the beginning of the process. So ultimately, according to reports, the expectations are the 2024 budget is going to be negotiated in the fall, probably, all the way up to the end of the year, if the pattern holds true, right? So this is sort of the opening proposal from the Biden administration, and of course, on the other side, he's dealing with the Republican-controlled House, right? And the Republican response has been that this proposal is dead on arrival, no chance of passing. So if you look at some of the language, the high-level language of the proposal, it aims to end tax loopholes, including the amount that taxpayers with incomes over $400,000 can hold in tax-favored retirement accounts. And then when we dig a little deeper into the language of the proposal, we can see some of the specifics. And really, it tracks what was in the 2021 legislation that never passed, right? So what's the first element that we want to go through? Okay, well, back in is this proposed ban of large retirement accounts for high-income taxpayers. So who's a high-income taxpayer, right? According to the proposal, it would be someone that has over $450,000 if married filing jointly of income, $425,000 if the taxpayer is a head of household, over $400,000 of income in other cases. So in that situation, if the individual was a high-income taxpayer, is a high-income taxpayer, as well as has a high balance in their retirement account, this proposal would require a new required minimum distribution. So make the individual withdraw the money from the retirement account. So to the extent that the individual is a high income taxpayer and their retirement account balance exceeds $10 million, the required minimum distribution amount would be equal to 50% of the excess over 10 million, right? So if you're 1 million over, you'd have to take $500,000 out as a required minimum distribution. Now, if the value of the retirement account exceeds $20 million, then the required minimum distribution amount is the lesser of the excess or the portion of the taxpayer's aggregated vested account balance that is held in either a Roth IRA or a designated Roth account, like a Roth 401k account. Under the proposal, this would be effective for tax years beginning after the end of this year, so after December 31st, 2023. So that's one element of the proposal. Again, very similar to what was in the 2021 Build Back Better legislation. Another element is a ban of Roth conversions, again, for high-income taxpayers. So it's the same definition that we had in the prior slide as far as who is a high-income taxpayer. And what would be prohibited would be pre-tax to Roth conversions. It applies to both pre-tax to Roth IRA conversions, pre-tax to Roth 401k conversions, and likewise, under the proposal, it would be effective for tax years beginning after December 31st, 2023. All right, so then lastly, the last element of the proposal that we want to talk about today would be a ban on backdoor Roth IRA, as well as Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k plans. So reading closely in the language of the proposal, which again, this is just the starting sort of bid or starting sort of offer as far with regards to the negotiation, and certainly subject to change, but just analyzing what's been put out. The proposal is not proposing to ban employee voluntary after-tax 401k contributions, so the actual deposit into the 401k account, but it would ban the subsequent Roth conversion of those amounts. So therefore, one could still make voluntary after-tax contributions to a 401k with the gains growing tax deferred, but you'd lose that ability, if enacted, to move the money to a Roth account where you've got the potential for tax-free growth. In addition, the proposal would ban all after-tax non-deductible IRA contributions from being converted to a Roth account. So that's the backdoor Roth IRA. It's noteworthy that reading the language of the proposal closely, it's not limited to high-income taxpayers, which is actually consistent with the 2021 version, the analogous element of the 2021 Build Back Better legislation, where they had a similar proposal that likewise wasn't limited to high-income taxpayers. So this element of the proposal would be effective January 1st, 2024. So those types of conversions, if enacted in its current form, which again, we've got a very long way to go, and the Republicans have said that it's dead on arrival and no chance of passing. But if it were to be enacted, it would be effective again, January 1, 2024. So that takes us to the end of the slides we wanted to share in sharing this news that came out today or yesterday. We have, again, a number of resources. You can please engage with us on our community, mysolo401k.net/my community, where we have daily Zooms. We go live every day at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. We have forums where you can post questions 24/7. We have this YouTube channel where we are posting videos every day, so please like and subscribe. I don't see any questions. I appreciate the engagement. Please continue to stay engaged, and we'll keep you posted to the extent that there's any substantive updates. Okay, great. So we got a question here. Thank you so much for bringing the good question. Do I need to move the funds from the after tax to the Roth before March 15th, or can be done after March 15th as well? So great question. So when one makes voluntary after-tax contributions, which right now we're in the middle of contribution season, really for folks that are making 2022 contributions, assuming they set up the plan with us before the end of last year. So if you signed up with us before the end of last year, you would have preserved the right to make all types of solo 401k contributions up until your business tax return deadline, including any timely filed extension. So for example, if your business is taxed as an S Corp, the deadline is March 15th of this year or September 15th if you file a timely extension for your S Corp return. So the deadline is really to make the contributions. There is no deadline to make the subsequent transfer from the after-tax account to either a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA. So yeah, that's how it is right now. Obviously, if this were to be enacted in its current form, there would be changes, but that's the current state. Hopefully that helps. Thank you for bringing the good question. So we'll give it a minute in case there's any more questions. Again, please continue to engage the community on the YouTube channel. If you're watching on the recording, please don't hesitate to post comments, and we'll respond to those comments as well. All right, well, okay, here we go. Got a couple more comments came in. Thank you so much for bringing the good comments. If in any given year your income was below 400,000, then does any of this apply? Well, let's go through it. So great question. So the first element that we talked about was banning the large retirement accounts. That's for high income taxpayers, which to your point is for someone who's making over 400,000. So that's not going to apply if you're not a high income taxpayer. Banning the Roth conversions, likewise, is not going to apply. And then the banning of the backdoor Roth IRA and solo 401k. So that is something that would apply under the language of the proposal. It's not limited to high income taxpayers. So this last element could still apply. Thank you for bringing the good question. I funded the after tax today, so I'm good even if it takes time to move the funds from the after tax to the Roth. Correct. Exactly. Okay, great question here. Also, if the balance is less than 10 million at any time, does the Mega Backdoor Roth restriction apply at all? So let's go through the elements. You got to look at these as separate elements. So where you have a balance, where someone has a balance over 10 million and they are a high income taxpayer, then this first proposal, if enacted, would apply, right? Having whether someone has a 10, the someone's account balance is not relevant to the other two proposals. So even if someone has less than $10 million, if they're a high income taxpayer, if the proposal is enacted, the ban on Roth conversions would apply. So again, if you're a high income taxpayer, even if you have less than 10 million, if the proposal is enacted, it applies. Likewise with the third element that we went through, one's account balance is not relevant, right? One's income is not relevant based on the language of the proposal. So the Mega Backdoor Roth ban would apply even if the balance is less than 10 million. Hopefully that makes sense. I signed up with my solo 401k in December 2022. I just finished my partnership income for 2022 and have my K1 ready. What would be my next steps in working with my solo 401k to fund my account? So please send us an email and we can guide you through the contribution steps and point you to the resources on our website as well. For example, just this past several weeks, we've been having daily deep dive sessions focused on making contributions for different types of businesses, including partnerships. Let me post a link to all those different deep dive guides. You can email us at business@mysolo401k.net and just include the name of your plan, and then we can reach out to you to go over it. But there's a link to the guides where we have all those different deep dive guides that we've hosted over the past few weeks, including slides, links to the videos, etc. How likely do you think the Mega Backdoor Roth ban will be enacted? Well, that's a great question. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball, but if you read the publications, I mean, we are very early in the process, right? This is the opening offer for the 2024 budget from the Biden administration, where they're going to have to negotiate this with the Republican-controlled House, whose initial response is dead on arrival, no chance of passing. And the expectation is that the House will really start the negotiation in October. So there's so many potential X factors, right? I mean, with there could be geopolitical events, just it's hard to say, right? But this is not the first time, right? We put it in context with our early slides. This is not the first time that these types of proposals have come up, and they've never passed. So the hope, of course, is that it won't, because it's such an important tool for small business owners to be able to save for retirement, right? But please stay engaged, and we'll keep, as always, our community posted as far as any types of substantive updates. So basically, the proposal is a general ban on the Mega Backdoor Roth, irrespective of income or balance tests. Exactly, just like in the 2021 version of the Build Back Better Act that was included in the Build Back Better Act. Just to confirm, I can convert funds from my traditional solo 401k to Roth 401k at any time. Yes, there is no triggering event that has to be met. There's no limitation under the current rules to being able to convert from a pre-tax 401k to a Roth 401k. So of course you want to let us know about that conversion. We have a form on our website where clients let us know. If you go to mysolo401k.net and click on forums in the upper right, we have an online form that clients use to let us know about the pre-tax to Roth conversion, because of course that's a taxable event. It's also a reportable event. So we need to gather the information in order to prepare a 1099-R to report that pre-tax to Roth conversion. So there's an online form that clients use to let us know about those conversion events. so we can put their plan in the queue to issue the 1099-R. Now, of course, if enacted, right, and one is a high income taxpayer, there's a proposal here to ban that, right? Being able to convert from a pre-tax status to a Roth status. Just to finish the thought here, can I still do pre-tax conversion for 2022? No. So the deadline to do any type of pre-tax to Roth conversion is the end of the year. So any type of pre-tax to Roth conversion that's completed here in 2023 is going to be adding to your 2023 taxable income. So it's going to be a 2023 pre-tax to Roth conversion. This is a great question, and of course, as things progress, assuming that they do, right, these type of details should come into focus as we go through as the legislative process is followed. But just based on the information we have with the proposal, right, the question is, since the rules don't apply till the 2024 tax years, does that mean it's still possible to do a Mega Backdoor Roth for 2022 and 2023 as a matter of grandfathering? So the short answer is yes, right? I mean, for 2022, assuming the plan was set up in time. So when we talk about Mega Backdoor Roth, we're really specifically talking about making an after-tax contribution and then conversion to a Roth account, right? Even if the plan wasn't set up by the end of last year, if a plan is set up and the contributions are made by the business tax return deadline, including any timely filed extension, one can still make voluntary after-tax contributions for 2022 here in 2023, and then convert those funds over to a Roth account. Likewise, one could set up a solo 401k plan now and go ahead and make 2023 contributions, right? Of course, one wants to be certain that they will report a sufficient self-employment income to justify that after-tax contribution for 2023, right? Because obviously, we don't know, we haven't finished the 2023 calendar year. We're at the beginning, right? We're in the third month here. So, but assuming that one does report enough self-employment income for 2023, one could make 2023 after-tax contributions now and then convert those over to a Roth, right? Like we talked about in the slides, right? The proposal is there's no proposal to ban the ability to make after-tax contributions. What's being proposed, what the proposal would ban is the ability to convert, the subsequent conversion. And if enacted, would be enacted at the beginning of next year. So in short, yes, there's still time to do both 2022 and 2023. Hopefully that makes sense. If I amend my existing solo 401k plan to work with your company, do I need to transfer all my assets from the original solo 401k plan brokerage before I can make investments under the my solo 401k plan? So great question. We have a lot of clients that start out with a basic plan, let's say at a brokerage such as Fidelity or Schwab, and now they want to upgrade their plan to our plan to take advantage of the features like the Mega Backdoor, the ability to make alternative investments or take a 401k loan. So as part of that process is called a restatement, because really that existing plan is going to continue, but now the plan documents that govern the plan are really going to be our documents, which allow for all the features that the individual is looking for. And so as part of that restatement process, new accounts will need to be set up, and then the cash and assets, investments in that existing account will need to be transferred to the new accounts. Now, if one, of course, in order to make an investment, one needs to have money in their solo 401k account. So there's different ways to get money in the solo 401k account. So if one were to restate, say, a basic plan from Fidelity, and they wanted to have the new account set up at Fidelity, we would draft the paperwork to open up the new account at Fidelity, and they could go ahead and make contributions to that new account, assuming they got this, self-employment compensation to justify it within the deadlines, et cetera. And so once that contribution has been deposited, that individual is going to be able to go ahead and make investments. They don't have to wait for the cash and assets to come over from the existing account that's associated with the prior version of the plan, right? The basic plan, before proceeding with making investments, with investing those contributions, right? But of course, if the only way they're going to get money in the plan, the new account for the restated plan, is by transferring money from the existing account, then obviously you got to wait until you've completed that transfer process, which of course we handle. We guide our clients through. We prepare the paperwork to transfer the cash and assets from the pre-existing account to the new account for the restated plan. So hopefully that helps. Thank you so much for bringing the good question. Assuming all proposals are enacted, it is in my best interest to convert my pre-tax money to Roth this year if I want to do it. Great question. So if we're talking about a pre-tax to Roth conversion, we're really talking about the second element of the proposal that we went through. And so if that is something that applies under the proposal to the high income taxpayers, it would be the language of the proposal said that it says that it's effective for tax years beginning after the end of this year, which does, so yes, if enacted in its current form and the individual is a high income taxpayer, then yes, they would want to convert before the end of this year. But of course, if you're trying to make the conversion effective for 2023, right? Because if you're going from a pre-tax status to a Roth status, that's a taxable event, right? Because you're going from pre-tax money to post-tax money. So the amount that's converted is going to be added to the income for the year of the conversion, right? So if you want to add that to your income for 2023, the conversion has to be done by the end of this year, regardless of whether this proposal is enacted. But if you want to not miss out on the ability to convert to a Roth status, and if this proposal is enacted, and if you're a high income taxpayer, then yes, you'd have to get it done by the end of the year. Hopefully that makes sense. Thank you so much for all the great questions. We do appreciate the good participation. I'm not seeing any more questions. We'll just give it a few more moments here. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Take care. All the best. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much.